Hello and welcome. You're watching Global Lens. I'm Archana Solanki. Amid stalled Iran-US peace talks and an indefinite extension of the ceasefire, both sides have been engaging in vessel seizures and interceptions. Reports say Iran attacked 3 ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz and its Revolutionary Guards have seized 2 vessels. Meanwhile, Reuters sources say the U.S. military has intercepted Iranian-flagged tankers in Asian waters and have redirected them. So far, U.S. Central Command has blocked over 30 ships from entering the strait. In an interview with Fox News, President Trump said the blockade scares Iran more than bombing. Iran's seizure of a Panama-flagged vessel has drawn strong criticism from Panama, which called it a grave attack on maritime security. Tehran has blamed Washington for delays in peace talks. Citing the ongoing naval blockade, U.S. President Donald Trump extended the ceasefire, saying the extension is indefinite to give the current Iranian regime time to come up with a unified proposal, but maintain that the naval blockade will remain in place. Adding to the tensions, a Washington Post report claims a Pentagon assessment estimates that clearing mines in the strait could take up to 6 months. The U.S. military began the clearing process in the second week of April. However, a Pentagon spokesperson acknowledged the report but described the information as inaccurate, and that was an initial assessment. Meanwhile, Trump said U.S. minesweepers are clearing the strait and that the U.S. Navy has been ordered to shoot boats that are mining. Trump, in his recent post on X, claimed U.S. has a total control over the strait. He said, and I quote, "It's sealed up tight," end of quote. He also stated that there is infighting in Iran leadership between hardliners and moderates.
This is a battle between the pragmatists and the hardliners in Iran right now, and the president wants a unified response. And so as we await that response, there's a ceasefire with the military and kinetic strikes, but Operation Economic Fury continues, and the effective and successful naval blockade continues as well. The president has not set a firm deadline to receive an Iranian proposal, unlike some of the reporting I've seen today. Ultimately, the timeline will be dictated by the commander-in-chief and the president of the United States.
The U.S. Navy Chief John Phelan has left the Trump administration amid U.S. blockade in Iran. The Pentagon has said that his departure will be effective immediately. However, no reason has been provided for the sudden exit. Reports suggest his departure comes following tensions within the American leadership over issues around shipbuilding reforms. Phelan is the latest high-ranking military leader to leave the administration in recent months. Now, tensions over the Strait of Hormuz continue to grow amid the U.S. blockade, with 2,000 vessels affected in the strait, carrying 20,000 seafarers who are still stuck. Now, what does this mean for the maritime community? We speak with Arsenio Dominguez, who is Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, to understand the implications for the lives of the seafarers. Thank you so much, Secretary General, for making time and speaking with CNBC-TV18. On Saturday, the Indian merchant ship Sanmar Herald came under heavy fire while attempting to cross the Strait of Hormuz. In the middle of the exchange, the captain made a frantic radio call to Iranian officials. What could have led to this?
It is important to always verify the information and to recognize that this is still an area in conflict. There were diverging views and messages over the weekend on whether the Strait of Hormuz was fully reopened or not. Of course, it then transpired that the situation has not gone back to normal in how shipping was operating before the conflict. So I do call on every single ship owner, ship operators, not to take the risks of transiting until we all know that it's safe to do so. And I am monitoring this very closely with IMO, and we will continue to provide this information for the whole shipping community.
Right. So there have been several attacks, like 2 ship seizures by Iran, 1 by the U.S. What is your reaction on these attacks that are happening on ships in the Strait of Hormuz?
I would like to start by highlighting that innocent seafarers and commercial shipping should not be used as leverage or collateral in geopolitical conflicts. And we still have 20,000 innocent seafarers and around 2,000 vessels trapped in the Strait of Hormuz that will not be able to leave the region until it is safe to do so. And this is once the conflict comes to an end.
Right. So have you been in touch with the seafarers who are stranded in the Persian Gulf, and what kind of challenges are they going through right now?
I had the opportunity to speak to one of the seafarers who spent around 6 weeks trapped in the Persian Gulf. And of course, it's unimaginable all the stress, the fatigue, and the mental health that they are facing because of the lack of security and safety and the unknowns of when they can actually leave the Strait of Hormuz. That's what I would like to call for everyone, particularly the countries in the region that are doing so, to maintain that provision of assistance to seafarers from the supplies that are required, food, water, and fuel for the vessels, as well as everyone that externally or remotely can provide some support and some assistance when it comes to conversations and contacts between them and their family members.
Right. So the International Transport Workers Federation has called on ship owners not to risk the lives of seafarers by attempting to transit to the Strait of Hormuz. What is your advice?
But this is something that I've been reiterating from the beginning of the conflict. We shouldn't put at risk the life of innocent seafarers when it is not safe to transit this area. It is very clear that the conflict is ongoing, that incidents are taking place, and seafarers should not be put at risk. So I absolutely echo that sentiment.
Right. So one final question. How many seafarers are currently stranded? And do you see any breakthrough as a unilateral ceasefire is in effect currently?
We still have around 20,000 seafarers that are trapped in the Persian Gulf and around 2,000 vessels that also remain there. And my encouragement is for everyone to support them, even remotely, for the countries in the regions, my appreciation to maintain the provisions of the necessary supplies. IMO is not directly involved in finding a solution to the root causes of the situation, which is the conflict, as is beyond our remit. But I encourage every single country to use multilateralism, dialogue, and diplomacy to bring this conflict to an end and allow shipping to resume their operations.
Right. Thank you so much, Secretary General, for making time and speaking with CNBC TV 18. Now, the international